Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful morning so far. Or if you're watching this somewhat later in the day, hope you're having a wonderful day in the Lord. Well, for today's devotion, a short devotion, I thought I would kick off by asking you a simple question. What gladdens your heart? What brings joy to your heart? Well, I know several weeks ago what brings joy to some of my colleagues' hearts. They read some news and they excitedly came to me and say, Pastor, Bangkok is now open for travel at year end. So I know the prospect of being able to travel to Bangkok gladdens their hearts. For some others, it's more of a tummy nature. They're happy that their food stalls, their favorite food stalls, are still open during this pandemic or endemic. They haven't closed down due to the pressures of what's going on. And the simple joy of being able to eat those food gladdens their hearts. But if we reflect upon these things not wrong, bringing joy to us, these things do come and go. Well, now that we are in this new phase, whatever it's called, the prospect of traveling may not remain anymore. And therefore, that is the one thing that brings joy to our hearts, then that source can be quickly squished or can be quickly taken away. If food is what brings joy or what gladdens our hearts, then if the store closes, then nothing wrong with that, but our hearts won't be joyful or won't be gladdened anymore. You got me thinking a little bit. What would someone in the Bible say gladdens their hearts? What would someone like a king say gladdens their hearts? What would someone like King David say brings joy to their hearts? And with that, let's refer to our wonderful Word of God that all of us have. I'll read to you from Psalm chapter 19. And right at the beginning of Psalm chapter 19, we read these words. It's for the choir director, a psalm of David. So this is a psalm written by David, King David, no less. And he writes these things. I'll read to you just from verse 7 to halfway through verse 8. We're talking about what gladdens our hearts. And he says this in verse 7. The instruction of the Lord is perfect, renewing one's life. I know you're wondering, what about gladdening our hearts? Coming. And he says, the testimony of the Lord is trustworthy, making the inexperienced wise. We come to verse 8, and he says this, the precepts of the Lord are right, making the heart glad. Don't know if you caught that. This is King David writing a psalm, and someone who has a kingdom, someone who has all the riches a kingdom can bring, someone who has family, obviously, and someone who has a wonderful, mighty men of renown, warriors that he calls his army, and people whom he can go through life and death with. And the one thing that he talks about when he's referring to something that gladdens his heart or brings joy is none other than the instructions of the Lord, the testimony of the Lord, the precepts of the Lord. Other translations talk about the commandments of the Lord, the decrees of the Lord. But he zooms in on these things and he says this precepts of the Lord that is right makes the heart glad. In some other translation it says brings joy to the heart. I thought this is wonderful, a wonderful reminder for all of us, me especially, that while there are many things that can bring joy or gladdens our hearts in the world, and nothing wrong with that, we have something really that God has given us, His Word. And this is one thing that's always going to be here with us, always remains with us, whether it's pandemic, endemic, COVID, or whatever there is, Bangkok, no Bangkok, food stall, no food stall, this is always with us. And if King David says this brings joy to the heart and gladdens the heart, then I wonder if we are spending enough time in coming to this source of joy that God has ordained for us. I'm purposing to spend more time in the Word because I want joy that comes from the Lord, and this joy that comes from His Word. And I pray you also will have a newfound desire, appetite, hunger for His Word. And as you also go into the Word of God, and may you never find it a drudgery or simply a duty, but recognize that this can gladden your heart. So the Lord gladden all our hearts with His Word. That's my prayer for you. God bless you.